What happens when a human being is given the power of a god? What does justice become in the hands of someone who believes they alone know right from wrong? Like Yagami, the protagonist of Death Note, starts as a genius high school student with a strong moral code, but the moment he gains godlike power, his descent into tyranny begins. Today, we're diving into the psychology of power, moral absolutism, and how Light's obsession with justice turns him into the very evil he sought to destroy. Death Note isn't just a battle of wits between Light and L, it's a deep exploration of morality, justice, and the corruptive allure of power. Light isn't evil at first. He's bored, frustrated by a world filled with injustice, corruption, and suffering. So when the Death Note falls into his hands, it feels like fate. A gift for someone smart enough, moral enough to wield it. But here's where the psychology kicks in. Light doesn't just want to punish criminals, he wants to cleanse the world. He wants to become the god of the new world. And in that moment, he moves from justice to moral absolutism. Moral absolutism is the belief that certain actions are universally right or wrong, no matter the context. To Light, good and evil are black and white. You commit a crime, you die. No exceptions, no second chances.
Somebody has to do this! And when I first got that notebook all those years ago, I knew I had to do it. No, I was the only one who could.
But this worldview has a fatal flaw. It leaves no room for nuance, no room for redemption, and worst of all, no room for error. And in the hands of someone like Light, intelligent, but arrogant, it becomes dangerous. Because if you're the one deciding who lives and dies, who decides if you're right? Psychologists like Phillips and Bardo's Stanford Prison Experiment show how ordinary people abuse power when given authority. Light is no different. The Death Note doesn't just give him power, it warps his morality. At first, he only kills violent criminals, but soon, he murders FBI agents, innocents, and even his own allies, all while convincing himself he's still the good guy. As Light continues to use the Death Note, something changes. He begins to believe that he alone understands justice, that the world is better off under his control. Light doesn't just want to punish criminals, he wants to be worshipped. His god complex emerges as he declares himself the god of the new world. This is a key trait of narcissistic personality disorder, where grandiosity and lack of empathy take over. The god complex psychology is a distorted belief in one's own infallibility. Light stops seeing people as individuals. They become statistics, tools, or threats. Anyone who stands in his way must be evil, even innocent people. The notebook doesn't just grant him the power to kill, it gives him the illusion of moral authority, and that's what truly corrupts him. Psychologist Albert Bandura's concept of moral disengagement explains how people rationalize evil actions. Light does this constantly. They were in my way, they supported criminals, it's for the greater good. Sound familiar? This is how real-world dictators and tyrants justify atrocities.
I understood that killing people was a crime. There was no other way. The world had to be fixed. A purpose given to me.
How many Lights exist in history? Light's belief that he alone can decide who lives or dies mirrors history's most infamous dictators. Joseph Stalin orchestrated the Great Purge, executing anyone he deemed a threat, just like Light eliminates criminals, then investigators, then even lazy people. And much like Adolf Hitler, Light creates a cult of personality. He sees himself as the savior of a new world, dehumanizing those he kills as unworthy. Both believe their atrocities were justified by a higher cause. Some argue Light is a vigilante, like Bernard Goetz, the subway shooter, or even Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. These individuals took justice into their own hands, convinced they were righteous, but like Light, their moral certainty led to innocent deaths. Even modern extremist groups justify violence as cleansing the world. Light isn't just a fictional villain, he's a dark reflection of real-world radicalization. Light doesn't just kill, he manipulates. Like Jim Jones' Jonestown Massacre, or Charles Manson, he surrounds himself with followers who worship him, exploiting their loyalty until they're disposable. Misa and the task force blindly obey, even when his hypocrisy is obvious. This is textbook cult leader psychology, isolating followers, controlling information, and eliminating dissenters. While Light isn't as destructive as these real-world figures, the pattern of thinking is strikingly similar: moral superiority, dehumanization, and violence in the name of a greater good. Light isn't a cartoon villain. He's what happens when someone truly believes the ends justify the means, and history proves how dangerous that is. There's an old saying, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But in Light's case, it's more subtle. He doesn't wake up one day and decide to become a villain. He believes he's saving humanity. Every life he takes stakes, a necessary sacrifice. But that's the trap of power. You convince yourself that your ends always justify your means. So killing innocent people, lying, manipulating his own family, to Light, it's all worth it, for the greater good. But in doing so, he becomes the very evil he swore to destroy. Enter L, the brilliant detective who serves as Light's intellectual equal and moral counterbalance. L represents moral relativism, the idea that justice isn't absolute. He operates in shades of gray. He doesn't see himself as a hero, just someone solving a puzzle. This infuriates Light because L exposes his hypocrisy. His presence forces Light to constantly justify his actions, not just to others, but to himself. And perhaps, that's why Light fears him, because L represents a world where Light might be wrong, and Light can't allow that. Light starts as a genius with noble intentions, but by the end, he's a megalomaniac willing to kill anyone, even people close to him, to protect his vision. Power isolates Light. He trusts no one, not even his followers. His paranoia grows until it destroys him, proving that absolute power doesn't just corrupt, it consumes. When Light finally loses, it's not just because Nier outsmarts him, it's because his belief in his own righteousness blinded him. He stopped listening, he stopped doubting, and he stopped being human. His downfall is Shakespearean, the fall of a tragic hero consumed by pride, power, and a black and white view of morality.
Kira has become law in the world we now live. He's the one who's maintaining order. I have become justice, the only hope for mankind.
But here's the real genius of Death Note. It makes us ask, if you had the Death Note, would you use it? Would you kill a murderer to save a child? Would you go further? And when would you stop? Light's story isn't just about him. It's about us, about the temptation of power, the fragility of morality, and the danger of believing we're always right.
That's right. I am Kira. And what can you do? I'm not only Kira, but I am also God of the New World. Since Kira's appearance 6 years ago, wars have stopped, and global crime rates have been reduced by over 70%.
Light Yagami is a terrifying case study in the psychology of power. Light Yagami wanted to rid the world of evil, but in trying to become a god, he became the monster. Death Note forces us to ask, could any of us resist that temptation, or would power twist us too? In the end, Death Note isn't just a battle of cat and mouse. It's a psychological journey, a cautionary tale about what happens when a person believes they can play God. So, was Light a hero, a monster, or just a kid who fell for the oldest trap in history, believing power wouldn't corrupt him? The scariest part of Death Note isn't the supernatural notebook, it's how real Light's downfall feels. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Light Yagami's psychology, make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. What do you think? Was Light ever justified, or was he wrong from the start? Could someone wield the Death Note without becoming a tyrant? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe for more anime psychology analyses.